Autoline Daily is brought to you by Siemens PLM Software, transforming the process of innovation.
Here are today's top headlines. Ford reports its fourth quarter earnings, which are worse than expected. Fiat is in talks with BMW on platform sharing, and GM might build Buicks in Germany. Yeah, that's what it says. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is Autoline Daily for Thursday, January 29, 2009, and now the news. Ford reported fourth quarter losses today of $5.9 billion. That's a loss of $2.46 a share. Analysts were expecting a loss of $1.30, and the market does not like downward surprises. Ford Financial Services, which made money last year, lost $372 million. Ford burned through $21 billion in cash last year, leaving it with only $13.4 billion in cash. However, it has $24 billion in cash and liquid securities, and the company reiterated its position it does not need a government bridge loan to get through this recession. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal reports that Chrysler is sending a letter to its suppliers of production parts that they must cut their prices by April 1, and that the company is freezing what it will pay for raw materials, even if those prices go up. And this just adds to the misery that suppliers are facing. And this is the untold story in this economic crisis. Automakers are not the only ones who need financial protection from the government. Suppliers need it too. We all know that car sales last year were the worst they've been in decades, but the industry might be poised for a comeback. WardsAuto.com reports J.D. Power is predicting a decline in global sales this year, but a rebound by 2010 with record deliveries in 2011 and 12. They estimate global sales will range between 57 and 62 million this year and between 60 and 67 million next year. GM might be building Buicks in Germany. Autoblog reports that upcoming Buicks based on the company's Epsilon 2 architecture could be assembled by Opel if GM moves Saab 9.5 production back to Sweden. It's interesting that GM might be considering building Buicks in euros and selling them in dollars. You'd think the exchange rate would kill them. You know, it's also interesting that Sweden is part of the EU, but it doesn't officially use the euro. Instead, it still uses the Swedish krona. Fiat has been extremely busy the past month, aligning with Chrysler and a rumored alliance with PSA, and new reports suggest the company could team up with BMW. According to Autoblog, the partnership is expected to involve Fiat borrowing the platform from either the 1 Series or the Mini for Alfa Romeo's upcoming replacement for the 147 hatchback. Over at the University of Michigan's Lay Automotive Laboratory, they converted a truck to run on ammonia, and then they drove it from Detroit to San Francisco to prove it can be done. Turns out ammonia doesn't emit any carbon emissions and can be used with gas or diesel engines. Ammonia is already manufactured and transported in huge quantities. In fact, it's the 4th most transported commodity in the United States. And ammonia costs less than gas, and the team says it provides better fuel economy. Coming up next, a look at the proposed emission standards California wants to enact. We'll be back right after this.
Siemens, transforming the process of innovation.
President Obama instructed the EPA to determine whether it should grant California a waiver to set its own CO2 standards. It's a hugely controversial issue, and here's what I think about it. California set a CO2 standard that requires a fleet average of 35 miles per gallon by 2016, but that actually translates into an average of 43 miles per gallon for cars and 26 mpg for trucks. By 2020, cars will have to average 49 mpg. Trucks will have to average 33. This is just California dreaming. Right now, only one car can meet that 43 mpg standard, and that's the Toyota Prius. Even the Honda Civic Hybrid falls short, and no truck even comes close to the standard. So you're going to tell me that the entire fleet is going to be completely retooled to meet that standard by 2016? In 7 years, that's less than 2 design cycles. I'm telling you, it ain't going to happen. It's not a question of foot dragging or a lack of technology or even a question of money. It's simply not physically possible to change the fleet over in that time frame. And that means automakers will have to severely limit what they can sell in California and all the other states that adopt its CO2 standard. And I predict once consumers learn how limited they're going to be in what they can buy, they are going to hit the roof. Environmentalists, beware. You're setting up a big backlash against CO2 legislation. And here's another point to ponder. California only accounts for 1% of global CO2 emissions. So is it really fixing the problem? I think we need a comprehensive national policy. Let me know what you think. And that's it for today's top news in the global automotive industry. Don't forget, get podcast transcripts and a lot more at our website, AutolineDaily.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Visit our website for even more great content all week long. Autoline Extra, Dawn's Journal, podcasts, and even more. So click over and get the inside view at AutolineDetroit.tv.